Alright, you guys, how's it going? So today we're going to be taking a look at Auxbeam's, basically little light pods. It says light bar, but they're pretty much the same kind of pods that I have underneath here. We're going to be doing a comparison between the two, both on appearances, everything else, dimensions, as well as performance. So right now we're going to go ahead and do a little unboxing, and this is how they are packaged inside, same as usual with their bigger light bars, held in place by some styrofoam blocks suspended inside of the box. And we take the blocks off, and these are actually pretty damn beefy, and with the traditional Auxbeam branding. And yeah, pretty much same as usual with their bigger lights. Nice big cooling fins, everything else. There is no pressure release valve on this, but I don't really think they're this light is so freaking small that not in a bad way. But I'm sure these things are going to be still pretty damn powerful for the small light it is. So we're going to go ahead and hook one of them up and then do a comparison and show you how bright they are next. Alright, you guys, so currently I have the passenger side rear hooked up with the Auxbeam light. As you can see, the Auxbeam versus that one, and we're going to do the comparison now between the two, and then we'll show you how to install these. So these lights are by Avec, looks like. I got these on Amazon about a year ago, maybe not even a year ago, and you can see the rust that's already starting to build up on them. Matter of fact, this one's already starting to get some mud and water behind the lens, and this one looks fine though. I noticed that these are spot beam lenses, whereas these are floods. I'm gonna get all the wiring tied up and whatnot once I'm done. But there is a benefit that I noticed, and I think Auxbeam should try and change their brackets. Let me see if I can find another bracket in here. So you can see this bracket right here. Okay, it's just completely flat on this side, and it's also completely flat on the inside there. Whereas this one, it has those little feet built into it to actually hold the bolts, so that you don't have to worry about holding that. That's the one thing I did like about these. Yeah, other than that, I would just change the bracket. That's the only real thing that I would do to change the two. And yeah, let's go ahead and look at the brightness difference, and also there's also a color temperature difference between the two. So you can see this color right here, sort of like a maybe like 5,000 K, but this one is more like a 6,000. It's much more pure white, and it's throwing out the light better because it has the diffused flood lens versus that spot lens that's in there. So you can see that the light is much whiter in appearance than that like kind of purplish. So that's the lighting output, and I have them both going to that side because this side is going to my backup camera, and it was actually causing a little bit of electrical interference. So yeah, that's the difference in the lights between Auxbeam and Avec. And also a note too, when I ordered those Avecs on Amazon's website, it actually said that there would be 4 of them. I only got 2. So if you're doing that, but I will throw a link to these Auxbeam lights down in the link in the description box below. And yeah, so you can see that these lights are now finally out of my truck, and we'll hopefully these things will provide a little bit better light, because I mean, even in the like pitch black, these lights are kind of struggling a little bit. So but yeah, I mean, you can just see the quality of the LED difference between that versus since this one's not on the truck yet, versus that one. There's a little bit of a difference between the quality of these. I mean, these are already okay, but these ones to me just seem a little bit better. Just the fact that it's a flood pattern, so it's going to be able to concentrate the light closer to the truck versus just throwing it outward and then dissipating. So what else is in here? Little Auxbeam card here. TC04 series installation instructions. So fairly simple stuff, but They say to install the slider bolts, but as you can see, they already came installed on mine, so that's a nice touch. But yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and wire up this Auxbeam now, or next. Alright, so as you can see, I got the light out, and the only way that I can really see to do this is to go ahead and put the bracket on first. So you got your bracket here, and I'm putting like this end towards the front of the truck. And let's see if we can get you up there, hopefully. And so run this through the hole, and then you're going to put your lock washer on over the bolt, followed by the nut. Go ahead and thread it on. Just hand tight is good for now, for the time being, and just make sure that it's, you know, straight back. As good as you can get it. Okay, that looks right about there. So next, the head of the bolt is a 14 millimeter, and then the nut itself is a 13 millimeter. So this is another way that I found to do this, just to fit in the quarters. So just find yourself kind of like a T-handled wrench like this, stationary, and then your ratchet right here to tighten the bolt down. And try your best to keep that bracket stationary. So now that's in place, and we can go ahead and get the light mounted. Okay, so when you're mounting these, you're going to get 4 bolts and 4 washers, just like these. These are 10 mil. These are your washers, and so you're going to put the light up in here, and then you're going to put a bolt and a washer through there, and then thread it into these little holes that are inside that little slider block. So let me get my bolts and washers ready. And here we go. Gonna straighten this power cable out. And I'm just using 2 for now, just to keep the thing up there. First one started. Now, I'll be the first to admit that these 2 right next to the power cable, the inside one is actually the hardest, so I'm going to try and do that one now before I get another bolt in the way, because there's not much clearance in between the power cable and the actual hole that you need to get in, so just keep that in mind. Alright, let's give me the same problems as the last light. Damn it. Here, I'll show you what I'm talking about, and I'll do this side off camera, but you can see how little room there is in between there to get your big old sausage fingers like mine in. So I'm going to try and do that side off camera, and then we'll get this thing tightened down, but you get the basic idea of how that works. Alright, so as you can see, I got the light mounted nice and sturdy, and that one's already wired up. So you know, just as usual, Auxbeam, they're nice enough to go ahead and, well, maybe not so much on this one, but you know, stripping the insulation off the tip of the wiring, I'm going to take a little bit more off, and then we'll hook it up to this power and ground right here, and we'll be all set. Alright, so we got the power and ground going right to the light, and let's go ahead and see if she works. And yep, she's working. So that is plenty bright right there. So no flickering, no nothing, just a nice steady stream of light. So that's man, I'm noticing a theme. Auxbeam lights are not very pleasant to look directly at. You know, it's like the sun. So yeah, and you can see my backup camera is now, I mean, I should have showed you before, but it was so much fun. It was almost like back when you still had bunny ears or rabbit ears on your TV, you know, when I had to go up and adjust those. And yes, I was around when those were. They were just on the tail end that I had them as a kid. But yeah, that's how it looked before. But now that I have both of the lights going to the driver's side tail light, it's so much clearer now. So yeah, so that's the unboxing overview, comparison, and installation. Man, I killed a lot of birds with a stone on this one. So yeah, and I mean, these AVEC lights were okay. We're gonna go ahead and see how good these Auxbeam pods are, since these are my first pair of Auxbeam pods that they've sent me, and the first ones that I've actually ever tried out. So these, as well as all the other Auxbeam lights on my truck, will, you know, long-term testers. So, and I put these things through the test. You know, I mean, I don't just leave this thing here. I mean, I know this truck's always sitting here pretty much for the most part for Auxbeam lights videos, but I can assure you that I put these lights through some rigorous testing, especially when I go to Idaho, which is next month actually. So you know, and I use the shit out of them in terms of, you know, it's just so freaking dark out there at night. And so yeah, you know, the same routine as usual. If anything, you know, negative or positive happens, I will be sure to, you know, inform you guys on it. And you know, huge thanks and, you know, shout out to Auxbeam as usual for sending me these lights. And yeah, so also be on the lookout for a possible giveaway coming up soon. I've been contacting those people on the list. I still haven't heard from the first place winner again, and so you know, please check your inboxes if you're watching this, because I know I want to get that light bar out to you, but if not, then I'm gonna have to keep moving down the list. So so there's possibly gonna be one more giveaway here soon, just with one light, I believe. And so yeah, and I hope Lancaster 666 or 661, whatever. Yeah, it's not 666. That's a little bit devilish. 661. That's right, Lancaster. I'm hoping that he is enjoying his light bar, and from Auxbeam. I should drive out there sometime because I don't live that far from Lancaster. So, but I'm rambling a lot right now. So, like I said, I will throw, not these lights, I will throw a link to Amazon where you can find these Auxbeam pods, and I'm gonna get all this wiring cleaned up and clean up my mess out here. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Take care.